is News Center 6, #1 in the Capital District.
Good evening. A tragic, incredible bridge collapse today has pushed the Capital District into the national spotlight. Shortly before 11 o'clock this morning, a bridge on the New York State Thruway suddenly collapsed into the raging Schoharie Creek. Witnesses say there were 4 cars and a tractor-trailer on the bridge when it just collapsed, with a noise that sounded like thunder. We hear conflicting reports at this moment. Some say that 5 bodies have been recovered. We're still checking on that. The bridge spans the Schoharie Creek between exit 27 and 28. That's between Amsterdam and Fonda in Montgomery County. Authorities say more than 300 feet of the 500-foot bridge fell into the creek, dropping 80 feet. As you can see, Governor Cuomo visited the scene this afternoon. He's ordered an immediate inspection of all similar bridges in the state. At this point, the cause of the disaster is unknown. We begin our team coverage tonight with a report from Ken Screven. As he tells us, the state police say the collapsed bridge has always been considered a safe bridge until today. And residents of the Montgomery County area say they've never seen anything like this.
The view is incredible. It looks like someone came along with a giant pair of scissors and neatly snipped the bridge away from its...
No one was prepared for what happened. More than 150 feet of a state thruway bridge 4 miles west of Amsterdam crumbled into the surging waters of the Schoharie below. Eyewitnesses say 4 cars and an 18-wheel tractor-trailer plunged 75 feet into the swollen creek. Local firefighters involved in nearby flood control saw everything.
I heard a rumble. I see a white truck heading eastbound, going off this side of the bridge. A few other guys saw it with me, and it wasn't long after that the rest of the bridge come down.
The cars went in after, and both lanes of the bridge went down in 15 minutes. No one spotted any passengers in the water.
No people tried to get out. All it was debris that was coming down, bales of white paper and stuff like this.
Do you think they had a chance?
No, I don't.
Marlin Stanley of Amsterdam saw the collapse and flagged more than a dozen cars and trucks on the thruway before they reached the collapsed bridge. He moved quickly and saved lives.
And after we got the traffic stopped, we went down to the end and looked over, and I could see 2 automobiles upside down with their tires and wheels bobbing in the water. My son-in-law got a couple of pictures with his camera, and then the cars washed on down the stream. So they disappeared from view.
As incredible as this is, the situation could have been much worse. If this had happened at night, there would have been more cars, dozens of other cars on the thruway, and the drivers would not have had any warning that the roadway underneath them had collapsed.
It's a terrible thing, and thank the Lord there isn't any more.
But people who live along the Schoharie Creek say that every bridge that spans the surging water was closed because of the flooding today, except this thruway bridge.
This one has historically been left open. It's a very safe bridge, and in the past it's always been open. It was rehabilitated 2 years ago. We had no reason to close it. We had no indication it was going to collapse.
State police brought helicopters to the scene hoping to spot the vehicles or survivors, but the fast waters cleared the area, and police say it was too dangerous to send in scuba divers to search for victims.
Ken, we keep using words like incredible. Really, words fail you at a point like this. Have you seen anything like this in your 10 years of reporting here?
Mary Beth, I thought last year's ice jam on the Mohawk River and the ensuing flooding that happened there, I thought that was an incredible sight to see. This was more devastating, very sobering experience to stand there and look at the bridge and the debris on the river and realizing that the people on the bridge never had a chance to even think what was about to happen to them. Hopefully, I understand that we are getting reports, as you said, that cars and truck may have been recovered, and bodies also, and as we were told today that these people probably never had a chance to survive.
All right, thank you, Ken. Well, Ernie Tatro covered this story from an entirely different perspective. Let's switch to him now, where he's reporting live from exit 25A. Ernie?
Mary Beth, as you said, I'm at exit 25A in the Schenectady County town of Rotterdam, where all traffic, all westbound traffic on the thruway is being diverted at the moment. But a few hours ago, I was flying over the scene of that collapsed bridge. From the air, the view is incredible. It looks like someone came along with a giant pair of scissors and neatly snipped the bridge away from its abutments. No jagged edges, just a clean break with a huge gap in the center. Just as we were approaching the collapsed bridge, we saw a huge chunk of debris fall with a splash down into the water. Now, from up here, about, well, we've gone as low as 500 feet. We can see no sign of any vehicles or debris from any vehicles in the water itself. All we can see are huge chunks of the bridge lying in the water. That's about all we can see from here. We're now down to 900 feet, and you should be able to get a good view now of the gap between these two sections of the highway where the bridge has collapsed. One puzzling thing from the air, we can clearly see two midstream supports for the bridge still standing. They did not collapse. So why did the bridge come down? That's obviously a question engineers will have to answer. Another big question, traffic. Today, westbound travelers were backed up for miles at the Amsterdam exit. How will area communities handle the huge amount of traffic that'll have to be rerouted around this break in the thruway, especially in the upcoming heavily traveled summer months? For News Center 6, this is Ernie Tatro. Shortly after those pictures were taken, the thruway closed down this superhighway from Schenectady to Amsterdam and started taking traffic off here at exit 25A. With me is State Police Lieutenant Michael Wright. What's the reason for taking the traffic off here rather than letting it going on to Amsterdam?
We're trying to divert them down to Route 20, which we think might be a little safer, although we're not recommending any travel in this area.
Yeah, we hear that maybe there may even be a bridge in Route 20 that's not quite so good.
Well, we're not sure of that, but all the bridges in this general area are being checked, and we're just trying to have people stay home and stay off the roads around here.
You're recommending, if you do have to travel, though, that you get off at 25A, go down through on I-88 to Route 20 and go in that direction?
That's correct, Ernie.
Okay,
yeah.
You've just come from the scene. Do you know whether any bodies have been found?
We haven't found any bodies, but we did locate one tractor trailer, and we located one white car, and but no bodies. And, of course, we can't put the scuba divers in because it's just too turbulent down there.
Lieutenant Wright, thank you very much. Mary Beth, that's the situation. Back to you.
Thank you, Ernie. Well, as we told you earlier, Governor Cuomo flew to the site, toured it, and is now back at the governor's mansion in Albany. We're going to talk with him live on the telephone. Governor, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Governor, do you have any idea at this point what the cause of this collapse was?
No. I've just gotten off the phone and got a report within minutes, I guess 5 minutes ago. We're very eager, obviously, to know exactly what the cause was, whether there was a defect, which people feel is unlikely since the bridge was rehabilitated only 2 years ago. But if there is no defect, then that is perhaps even a greater cause for concern, because it means that the power of that river was such that it could bring down a perfectly sound pier. And then you have to worry about comparable situations elsewhere. So we're flying in experts. We'll have some in tonight, in addition to the thruway and the transportation department people. We want people from outside, the best we can find, to help us discover the cause. That's not going to be easy, since they can't get into that water. They can't get down to the foundations of the piers to check to see what happened to them. But we need to make that judgment as soon as possible.
Governor, do you have any idea when the last time the bridge was inspected?
Oh, well, inspection, certainly when it was rehabilitated, of course, 2 years ago, then obviously it would have been inspected then. And I'm told by the thruway authorities that in view of the heavy rain that followed this heavy saturation of so much of this area with snows, that we've been inspecting bridges for a few weeks now. There is no reason so far, no reason to believe that there was a defect here. And I repeat, that's all the more disconcerting, because if the pier was perfectly sound and rehabilitated and you did everything that you could reasonably do and still it was not safe from the power of this river, then that's indeed something to be especially concerned about, because how do you prepare? How do you deal with that kind of thing? Okay. Incidentally, I saw the report that said that there was a white Cadillac, I think, and a tractor trailer. I know they've seen the cab of that tractor trailer, and we can't get at it even with our equipment yet because of the turbulence in the water. The other stories you've heard about 4 vehicles, we can't confirm that. We don't know. We've heard the same stories that you've reported on, and I believe you report very accurately. But I want it to be clear that that's not official. These are people at the site who claim that they've seen things. It's possible that some people saw the same vehicle in different ways, and that would give you 2 vehicles. In any event, we don't know exactly what the extent of loss of vehicles or life has been yet, and we don't know who's in that car, and we don't know who's in that truck.
All right, thank you, Governor, so much for updating us on what you know about the situation at this time. Well, while the scene at Schoharie Thruway Bridge was undoubtedly the worst damage from the flooding of the Schoharie Creek, several other spots were hit hard. Following the Schoharie Creek south, you can see the damage it's incurred south of the
Service and Merc Cruiser stern drives come up today.
As we told you, police cannot confirm that any bodies have been recovered in this bridge accident. Officials at the scene say survival in such conditions is unlikely. Tracy Egan is just back at our Capitol Bureau in Albany, where she has spoken with the Thruway Authority Deputy Executive Director. Tracy?
Mary Beth, just 2 minutes ago, James Martin told me still no bodies recovered. However, divers have sighted, he says, the cab of a tractor trailer, as the governor said, and what they believe is a white Cadillac. But Martin says divers cannot reach those vehicles right now.
And large logs are floating down at a very high rate of speed. If a swimmer were to try and go in there, he'd probably be killed. It's just a situation that's too wild. You can't go in there.
Describe it for me graphically.
Well, again, it's boiling water. I don't really know what else to say. I'm sure you're all familiar with a stream that's, you know, in a flood state.
Martin is mystified over the collapse. The easternmost pier on the left of your screen is apparently what gave way. It was last inspected in April of 1986 and rated good. The next inspection would have been done in April of '88.
Certainly we had no reason to believe that there was any problem with this structure.
So the next time it would have been checked is April of '88?
Approximately, give or take. It's not done exactly, but yes.
At this point, then, what does your gut tell you should blame?
We don't know. We have no answers at this time.
What are you doing right here for people who may be worried about someone who was supposed to be traveling the thruway?
All right, we have set up a number, let me get it for you, an information number, 449-3404. We will man that number all night, and if people are worried about someone who might have been traveling on the thruway, if they call this number, we certainly will give them whatever information we have. Unfortunately, we have very little information at this time.
So far, only a few people have called that phone number, 449-3400. State police and Thruway Authority officials expect they may learn the identity of potential victims from those call-ins before they are able to reach the cars, because they're not going to reach those cars and the tractor-trailer cab until after the water recedes. Tonight, a 15-mile roadway stretch is closed. That will be closed for at least 4 months, and they may work out a detour that goes as far west as Utica. As for the bridge inspections that the governor is calling for, no timetable has yet been set for those. After all, there are 819 bridges along the more than 500 miles of thruway. Mary Beth?
Thank you, Tracy. Well, while we've told you everything that's happened in the Montgomery County area and along the Mohawk, another county is also suffering from heavy rains and flooding.